Hi Mohit, thank you for joining us today on Workwise with Naukri. We're so excited to have a conversation with you today and glad you could join us.
Thank you so much, Mehar, and the pleasure is absolutely mine to be present here and talk to you.
So, I have so many questions to ask you, Mohit, and I'm sure the conversation is going to be very insightful for all our listeners. But let's begin with the very first question, which
Mhm.
is going to be quite broad. Is that what do you think is the biggest truth that is kept away from employees from an HR point of view?
Okay, very interesting that you asked me this thing. There is a lot of perception around HR tries to keep a lot of things hidden. In the course of our discussion today, maybe I'll open it in front of you that there are a lot of things that we keep telling employees, except that people do not register them too often. So it is a lot of time the registry which misses. And that's where HRT seems to look like as if we're hiding, we're not showcasing. We're a function which is created to really assist the business in doing business better. And yeah, that's my take on it. However, I will of course share with you that a lot of times we're perceived as people who are only and only wanting to do work for the business unit owner. That's the
Yeah.
perception a lot of people believe in. However, the truth that a lot of times does not come across is we are constantly working our way, sometimes against the business owner, in terms of working for the people that we service. And many a times, this leads us into conflicts. This leads us to become the bad person on the floor. And it also leads us to cost our jobs at times. But that's where we are. A lot of HR professionals would concur with this thought that this is a perception that people carry. We are the boss's team, but that's not the truth on our side. And a lot of people do not get to know this part.
Mohit, one final question before we leave actually is can you please tell us if there is any like behind the scenes insights or any lesser known facts about the HR processes related to anything that we've discussed today that you think employees should be aware of?
Loads of times,
Anything?
I feel that
Sorry.
there is a lot of ignorance, Meher, that I find that there is a lot of ignorance at the face of any product or solution that we come up with. Loads of time there is also angst against the decisions that we have made for the company or for the employees. For example, letting somebody go on the act of disobedience or integrity or sexual harassment at workplace. So a lot of people do not know why somebody loses their job, because a lot of times we can't even call it out that this was because of sexual harassment at workplace, etc. So a lot of perceptions get built about fraternity of HR, where when decisions are taken and not communicated, sometimes because we can't, and sometimes because there is just simply the lack of that texture to communicate. So a lot of employees are free to believe whatever their mind tells them. And this includes every other process, every other thing, every other decision we make as HR.
Great. So sometimes the employees don't have the full picture, and we just have to remember that the HR is doing their best. And like you said, high touch. So always keep in touch with maybe someone from the HR team to know what's
Yeah,
going on before
yeah,
making a
absolutely.
judgment, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Mohit, for joining us today. This was a very insightful conversation. I learned a lot from an HR's perspective, and thank you for sharing all your wisdom with us today.
Thank you so much, Meher. And I must tell you, this discussion in itself actually helped me a lot to bring the thoughts that I had in mind and kind of sort of clarify these to myself. So thank you for this opportunity. Yeah.